Arsenal fans have had one of those summers where every rumor feels like it could be the one. Names have been flying around, big talents, exciting profiles, the kind of players you imagine lifting trophies in red and white. And then this week, a name lands that makes you stop scrolling and read twice. Vinicius Jr., Sky Sports and The Athletic are both saying Arsenal's interest is real. Not a vague link, not a social media whisper, but something the club is at least paying attention to. And it's worth pausing on what that actually means. This isn't a project player, not someone looking for a stepping stone move. This is an elite forward, a Champions League winner, a player who changes games at the very top level. But before anyone gets carried away, this is where we separate two things. Interest and a transfer. Interest is believable. A transfer is an entirely different mountain to climb. What the reports are careful about is also important. There's apparently no club-to-club contact yet. No offer has gone in. No official negotiation that we know of. But the Athletic's angle is that this idea has internal backing at Arsenal. That it isn't just an agent tossing a grenade into the news cycle. If that's accurate, it tells you something pretty significant about where Arsenal see themselves now. For years, Arsenal have been building back toward the top table, competing again, being a serious Champions League club again. And the moment you start exploring players like Vinicius, you're basically saying, we don't just want to qualify for the biggest nights. We want to own them. So why would this even be possible? Why would a player like Vinicius ever be in the conversation for anyone outside Real Madrid? The answer, as always in the modern game, is money and contracts. The reporting suggests Vinicius wants a salary around 30 million euros net per season, while Real Madrid's offer is closer to 20 million. That's not a small disagreement you smooth over with a handshake. That's a gap that can drag on, create tension, and force decisions. And then there's the big accelerant. The suggestion his deal could be running down, with an expiration next summer. Real Madrid, historically, do not let world-class players stroll away for nothing. If you're Madrid and talks aren't moving, the choices start to narrow. You pay what he wants. You sell at the right time. Or you risk losing one of the world's best attackers for free, which is exactly the scenario they hate most. That's the kind of uncertainty Arsenal would be monitoring, because as soon as a contract situation turns complicated, big clubs start circling. Even if the odds remain long, the mere existence of a crack is enough to make teams look. And then, right on cue, another twist enters the story. Jose Mourinho. The report suggests Mourinho is back in the picture, with a clear message at Madrid. Keep the stars. And if that's true, it matters, because it signals an internal push to shut down any temptation to cash in. There were also suggestions that whatever friction existed around last season's incident involving Gianluca Prestiani has been smoothed over. In other words, if Mourinho is determined to keep the core intact and Vinicius is considered untouchable, Arsenal's already difficult task becomes even harder. Because you're not just negotiating with a club. You're negotiating with a club that's decided it doesn't want to negotiate at all. Now, here's the question Arsenal fans will debate for hours. Do Arsenal actually need Vinicius? Need is a strong word, but the squad dynamics make the idea more than just a fantasy headline. Leandro Trossard has moved on. Gabriel Martinelli continues to be linked with a possible departure. Christos Solis has arrived from Club Brugge, which adds a new option, but it doesn't necessarily close the book on strengthening that left side of the attack. If Arsenal are still shopping in that area, it tells you they feel there's another level to reach. And Vinicius isn't just another level. He's a ceiling raiser. He's the kind of signing that doesn't simply improve your rotation. It alters what opponents fear about you. He gives you a player who can decide a Champions League knockout tie with one sprint, one dribble, one moment where the defender knows what's coming and still can't stop it. There aren't many footballers on the planet who genuinely make you feel closer to winning Europe. Vinicius is one of the few. But then we come back to the reality check, because it's a big one. Real Madrid don't casually sell players like this. There's been no formal approach, no reported bid, and no clear sign the player is pushing to leave Spain. Add Mourinho's supposed stance of keeping the squad together, and you start to see what this really is right now. It's not a transfer developing in front of us. It's an ambition being tested against the hardest possible opposition. Madrid's power, Madrid's prestige, and Madrid's ability to simply say no. So if we were to put a rough rating on it, the likelihood feels low. Not impossible, but low. The ambition, though, is off the charts, and that part matters. Because even being connected credibly to a player like Vinicius is a sign that Arsenal believe they belong in these rooms now. And if somehow there is a narrow window, even if it's only slightly open because of the contract situation, then yes, Arsenal should push. Elite clubs don't become dominant by only doing the obvious deals. They become dominant by pouncing when a rare opportunity appears, and everyone else assumes it can't be done. Will it happen? Probably not. Could it happen? If the contract uncertainty continues and Madrid face a decision they don't like, it becomes something to watch. Either way, Arsenal even being part of this conversation feels like progress. And in the bigger story of where the club is heading, that might be the most important takeaway of all.